Hi, my name's DeBorre. This is Jess sitting behind me, keeping guard and keeping an eye on what's going on across the dam. I am going to be taking you through a slow yoga flow today, and we're going to be focusing on a peak pose of half moon. So half moon is a standing balance. If you do have a couple of yoga bricks at home, like I've got at the top of the mat, maybe grab them because they will come in handy a little later on. But if you don't have a yoga brick, then you can use a book. So if you've got a book that's roughly that sort of same size, then go and grab that because it might come in handy. So we'll be using those a little later on when we get up to our peak pose of half moon. Before I do that though, welcome to my beautiful farm just outside of Heathcote in regional Victoria. It's an overcast day today, but it's still relatively warmish, and it's going to be nice to practice some yoga by the dam here with Jess, and who knows, maybe she'll go for a swim a little later on. Hopefully it won't be too disrupting to our yoga practice. I'm going to get you to start by laying down on the mat, so resting on your back, and we're going to start in Supta Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet to touch, knees are going to drop out wide into that diamond shape. If you do have those yoga bricks handy, then you can actually use them, or your books or pillows, as support underneath your legs. And if it doesn't feel quite right on your legs to have them opening up through the hips like that, then just extend them long in front of you in Shavasana. But coming down to the mat when you're ready, and then shutting down the eyes as well. I shall join you in just a moment. I just need to get this mane out of the way so that we can practice yoga with no hair in the face. So coming down to rest on your back if you haven't already, soles of the feet together, knees out wide. And just taking your hands to rest gently on your belly. Allowing yourself to really drop in to your practice today. Taking a quick scan of the body, starting all the way at the head and working your way down, seeing if there's any tension that you're holding that you can release. For me, it's generally the jaws, the shoulders, even through the sort of hips and thighs. When I'm holding Supta Baddha Konasana, I tend to find that I'm actually holding it instead of just letting my knees drop out wide. And with your hands on your belly, just noticing the gentle rise and fall as you breathe. The breath in really expands that belly. And the breath out, it drops. Starting to bring some awareness to your breath, I want you to start to really think about inflating that belly on your inward breath. And on the exhale, letting it sink back down, lower back drops towards the mat. Inhale, really expanding that belly. And exhale, dropping back down, lower back sinks down towards the mat. 2 more like this. Inhale deeply through the nose and part the lips, sigh it out. Let's do that again. Deep breath in through the nose and sigh it out through the mouth. And just returning back to a breath in and out of the nose. Let's take the hands to the outer edges of the thighs and let's draw the legs in towards our chest. Hands come over the shins as we tuck into that nice little ball. Head and shoulders are still on the mat. You might like to keep those eyes closed for now. Maybe taking a little rock from side to side, massaging out through the lower back. And settling into stillness. Taking an inhale through the nose and exhale, drawing the knees to the chest. Inhale, slight release. And exhale, drawing those knees to the chest. Head and shoulders are still on the mat. Inhale, slight release. And once more, exhale, drawing those knees in towards the chest. We're going to release the soles of the feet down to the mat now. And let's extend the right leg all the way up to the sky or the ceiling and flexing those right toes towards the shin. You can interlace the hands behind the back of the right thigh, or alternatively, you can take your hands further up the legs or even up towards the toes, depending on how open you are. But back behind the thigh is totally fine. I want you to keep your head and shoulders resting on the mat. And if you'd like to intensify the stretch, you can stretch the left leg long to the mat and take as much of a bend as you need through that extended right leg. Breath in, point the toes, and exhale to flatten. Inhale to point, exhale to flatten. One more. And now taking some ankle rolls through that right ankle in one direction. And then taking it in the opposite direction. And now drawing that right knee into the chest. Let's give that a little hug into the chest. We'll extend the right arm out to the floor. Left hand draws that knee over to the left side. Just into a nice little comfortable supine twist. I don't want you to yank yourself too far into this twist. Just keeping the right shoulder pressing down on the mat and your hand is just gently resting on top of the thigh. You might like to take your gaze over your right shoulder. Inhale back through center, taking both soles of the feet to the mat. You might need to just realign your hips. Right ankle crosses over the left knee into our reclined figure 4. Flex the right toes towards the shins and you can stay here and this is totally fine. Otherwise, if you'd like to take it a little bit deeper, you'll thread that right hand in between that little gap in the legs and either take clasp at the back of the left thigh or the front of the left shin. And then we're just bringing our head and shoulders back down to the mat. And remembering we're flexing those right toes towards the shin so that foot is active. And releasing the clasp on the left leg, bringing both soles of the feet back to the mat, maybe realigning those hips again. And left leg extends up, flexing the left toes towards the shin, hands interlaced behind the back of the thigh or further up the leg. Choice is yours. And you can extend that right leg long in front of you on the mat. Breath in, point the toes, and exhale to flatten. Inhale to point, and exhale to flatten. One more, inhale to point, and exhale to flatten. And now taking some rolls through that left ankle in one direction. Don't be surprised if there are some creaks. There certainly are in my ankles at the moment. And taking it in the opposite direction. Taking clasp of the front of the left shin, let's hug that knee into the chest. And if you haven't extended the right leg already, then lay that flat to the mat. Breathe in, hug that knee in tight. And extend the left arm towards the floor. Right hand is going to pull that knee over to the right into the twist. So left shoulder is still plugging down into the mat and we're just feeling that nice opening through the left side body. Coming back through center. And we're just going to take both soles of the feet back to the mat. And left ankle crosses over the top of the right thigh. Remembering we can stay right here, flexing the left toes towards our shin, so foot is active, or we can take it a little bit deeper in our reclined figure four, grabbing the back of the knee or the front of the shin, bringing the head and shoulders back down to the mat. Releasing the grasp, sorry about that, getting a bit tongue-tied, of the knee and taking both soles of the feet down to the mat. We're just going to come through a little bit of core work. So let's extend both legs straight up to the ceiling and you can either take clasp of the back of the head. Oh, I'm a bit off center on my mat, so I'm going to get back in alignment. So back of the head, or you can alternatively have the hands either side of your legs, palms facing in, or even more of a modification would be to bring the head and shoulders back to the mat. So choice is yours. We're holding here for a moment and slowly lowering the right foot down to the mat and hovering. Inhale back up through center. Left leg lowers. And inhale back through center. We're just going to take hold of the back of the left leg now and let's lower the right leg. We're going to do a scissor kick count for 10. Starting now. 10, 9, 8, 7, don't forget to breathe, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Both legs up, crossing over at the ankles and just using a little bit of momentum to roll along the spine and come over into our tabletop position. Hands are underneath our shoulders, knees are in line with hips, and we'll just come through a few rounds of cat-cow. So the breath in dips the belly, And exhale to tuck everything under. So doing a few rounds on your own. You might like to throw in some other more fluid movements. And if that's the case, then just go for it. I like to sometimes take a bit of a wider stance and then come through some figure eights of the hips. Get your whole body into the motion. But alternatively, if you're happy with your cat-cow, then just keep going, remembering the breath in to dip the belly and the exhale to curve through that spine. If you're taking figure eights with me, it can feel a little bit unco, I guess, but don't worry what it looks like. You're at home, hopefully without an audience. Remembering though to take it in the opposite direction. So doing some in both directions. Coming back into stillness when you're ready. Hands are underneath our shoulders and knees underneath our hips. We're going to tuck the toes and we're just going to hover those knees off of the mat. We're going to tap our right knee to our right elbow and then take the foot back. Left knee, left elbow, and take the foot back and drop the knees back to the mat. Untuck the toes and just settle here for a moment in neutral spine. Tucking the toes again. Let's hover the knees off of the mat. We're going to hold here for a few breaths, breathing in and out. And now straighten through those legs back to our down dog. You might like to pedal through those legs. Sway your hips from side to side, whatever feels good to warm up and open up into that down dog. Sorry, I just saw Jess go off chasing a bunny. It's funny because my husband and I have talked about the fact that we thought the dogs were both blind to rabbits. And in the last 2 days, I've seen Jess chase rabbits while I'm filming yoga. So, coming into stillness when you're ready, we're going to walk the hands to the back of the mat. And taking a generous bend in the knees, let's take a clasp of the hands behind the back. So clasping the hands together as much into a little fist as you can. And then we're going to bring those arms up and overhead. Just opening up through the shoulders. Releasing any tension in the head or neck, so it's just dangling there. And releasing the hands, bringing them back down to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands can come to shins back, and exhale to fold. Let's slowly ripple up to standing, one vertebrae at a time. And arms reach up and overhead. Hand through heart center and by your side, Tadasana. And Jess is back. In Tadasana, let's close down the eyes for a moment. And I want you to lift all of your toes off of the mat, spread them nice and wide, and then plug them back down into the mat. And now we're going to take some little circles. So we're going to sway the body in one direction, little tiny circles, just feeling the different weight distribution across your feet as you take this movement. And then let's go in the opposite direction. So just tiny little circles. And then coming into stillness And in that stillness, coming into the center. So your weight is evenly distributed. And there's a grounding of those feet. They're really plugging into the mat. Blinking open the eyes if they're not already. Let's inhale, arms reach up. And exhale, diving forward to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Let's walk ourselves out all the way to our high plank. Go away, Mr. Bullant. And holding here for a moment, let's dome through the upper back, draw the lower belly in, push through the heels, glutes are engaged. One more breath. And let's all lower our knees to the mat, untuck our toes, and we're going to slowly lower for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way to the mat. I just need to move some of those things from my face. And we're going to come through 3 rounds of baby cobra. So let's plug the toenails into the mat and breath in, coming up. Exhale to release. Remembering we're not craning our neck, so neck is neutral. Breath in, baby cobra. Exhale to release. Once more, this time hands come off of the mat. Breath in, baby cobra. And exhale, releasing everything back down to the mat. Pushing back to our child's pose. And remembering that child's pose is available to you at any time in any of your yoga practices. So feel free to drop down into child's pose and take a break when you need it. Tucking the toes, let's push up into our downward facing dog. Breath in and out. Breathing in, let's rise to the tippy toes. And exhale, let's walk all the way to the top of the mat. Breath in, hands to shins, halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Inhale, arms reach all the way up and overhead. And exhale, let's hinge at the hips, diving down to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, stepping back with the left leg into our high plank. Knees on or off the mat, let's lower chaturanga. Inhale to up dog or baby cobra. And exhale, back to down dog. Breathing in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Breath in, rise up to the tippy toes, and on the exhale, we're going to take that slow stroll back to the top of the mat. Breath in, halfway lift, hands to shins, flat back, and exhale to fold. Breath in, reaching all the way up, and exhale, diving all the way back down to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, and this time on the exhale, we're stepping back with the right leg into our high plank. Knees on or off the mat, let's lower. Cobra or up dog, and back to our down dog. And breath in, right leg lifts, and exhale, peel open the hip, bending out the knee, taking that heel towards the butt. Making sure that we're not dumping too much weight into that left shoulder, so shoulders are level. And on the next exhale, right knee taps right elbow. Inhale, shoot it back. Right knee taps left elbow. Inhale, shoot it back. And knee comes to chest. Let's step through, lowering the back leg or back knee into our low lunge, Vinyasa. And in Vinyasa, I want you to interlace the thumbs above your head. So we're taking a grip of the thumbs, and it's like we're pulling those thumbs apart. Left glute is engaged. Deep breath in. And on the exhale, we're just bending to the right. Coming back through center and over to the left. Really making sure that that left glute is engaged. Back toes can be tucked for more stability. Inhale back through center and releasing the bind of the fingers or the thumbs. We're going to straighten through that front leg, coming into our half Hanuman. Toes flex back towards the shins. Arms can be back behind them, behind you, should I say, like I've got them, or you can bring them to the mat. You can also use your blocks or your books for some extra support here. Whatever we're doing, we're really making sure that these toes are flexing hard and really thinking about bringing that pinky toe in so that we feel that nice opening through the back of the leg. One more breath. And inhale, bending back through that knee, coming back to our low lunge Anjani Asana. Let's take our hands down to the mat, but on the inside of the right foot. Let's heel toe that right foot over just a little bit more. We're in our low lizard lunge now, and let's take some hip rolls through that right hip. So just opening up into that hip joint. You might like to get your whole foot into the rolling motion. And your shoulders. The more movement, the better. And then taking it in the opposite direction. Coming into stillness, keeping those hands planted. We're going to tuck the back toes and we're going to step back to our downward facing dog. Breath in, ripple forward to high plank. Knees on or off the mat, lower chaturanga. Up dog or baby cobra. And exhale back to our down dog. Breath in, left leg lifts. And exhale, peel open that hip, bending at the knee. Making sure that we're not dumping weight into the right shoulder this time. On the exhale, left knee taps left elbow. Inhale, shoot it back. Left knee to right elbow. Inhale, shoot it back. Left knee to chest, and we're stepping it through for our low lunge. Back knee drops, arms raise up and overhead. This time we're taking that clasp of the thumbs again, interlocking them over our head. If you can remember the way that your thumbs wrapped last time, then do the grip that feels a little bit awkward. So the opposite grip. And we're really pulling those thumbs apart, so tension in the arms. Right glute is engaged. You can tuck the right toes for extra support. Breath in. And exhale, we're bending to the right. Inhale back through center and exhale over to the right. Whoops, I meant left earlier. I'm so sorry. Take it the opposite direction. Inhale back up through center. And releasing the thumb grip, we're going to sweep our arms back behind us, straightening through the front leg into our half Hanuman. Remembering those options, palms can face down and shoulder blades pinching together if we've got our arms in the air. This is going to test our balance. You can tuck those back toes, or hands can come to the mat or to your books or yoga bricks. And flexing those left toes towards the left shin. Breath in, bend through that left knee, arms reach back up overhead into our Anjani Asana, and then hands both come down on the inside of the left foot. We'll just heel toe that left foot over a little. We're in our low lizard lunge here. And we're going to take some rolls through that left hip. So it's like we're drawing a circle in the air with our left knee. And as I mentioned earlier, let's get as many body parts into this movement as possible. So rolling through the foot, the toes, the shoulders, and taking it in the opposite direction. The good thing about doing these weird rolling movements at home is that I don't think you'll hopefully have an audience. So hopefully you're doing this in the comfort of maybe your own room or outdoors somewhere, and you can really get into this and feel a little bit silly doing it, hopefully. Settling into stillness, let's tuck the right toes and we're going to go back to our downward facing dog. The breath in sees us ripple forward to high plank. Knees on or off the mat, lower chaturanga. Inhale to up dog and exhale back to down dog. And breathing in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Breath in, bend your knees, exhale, pull up through the belly and either step or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, fold. Inhale, coming all the way up to standing, arms reach up and overhead, and hands through heart center. Let's just look at what our feet are doing. So we've got two options here. We can either keep them hip distance apart, which is where mine are, or we can bring the big toe mounts to touch, a gentle gap between the heels, and we're going to brush our fingertips on the mat, sitting back into our Utkatasana chair pose. Belly draws in and up, and there's that tucking of the tailbone. So we're not doing this. We don't want that big bubble butt out the back. We want to tuck that tailbone under so we get that nice straight spine. Arms are up and overhead, or you can bring them to heart center. And let's all sit a little bit lower. Weight is in the heels. You should be able to lift those little tootsies off of the mat. And exhale, forward fold. Whew, that's nice. Let's heel toe those feet out to hip distance now. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale to fold. We're going to take a pistol grip now of the big toe. So the first two fingers go in between the big toe and the next toe. Top of the thumb, or the thumb comes to the top of the toe, should I say. And we're doing that on both sides. So take a generous bend in your knees if you've got the tight hamstrings, and even if you can't touch your toes, then just take as much of a bend as you need through those legs. And we're going to straighten then slowly through those legs, any amount. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale to fold, elbows draw out to the sides. Let's do that again. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale to fold a little deeper. Remembering to have as much of a bend through those knees as you need. And releasing the grip on the toes. Let's slowly, with a big bend in the knees, ripple up to standing, one vertebrae at a time. Arms reach up and overhead, and hands through heart center. Left knee draws into the chest. The foot is engaged. Belly draws in and up. Right glute is really active. Pick a spot somewhere in front of you that isn't moving, just to help with your balance. And then let's pick that knee up a little bit higher. Slowly, with control, let's raise the arms up overhead. And with as much control as you can muster, we're going to step back into our high crescent lunge. So we're going to hinge at the hips, as we take that left leg back behind us in slow motion if possible, and left toes kiss the mat, high crescent lunge. You might need to readjust your feet. Left glute switches on, and there might be a little gentle bend in that back knee. On the next inhale, let's grow a little taller through the spine, and exhale to cactus the arms open, taking maybe just a gentle back bend. Inhale, arms reach back up, and once again exhale to cactus the arms. Inhale, arms come back up, and we're going to straighten through the front leg, staying high on the back of the high on the ball of the back foot. Sorry about my tongue twisters today. And we're going to hinge at the hips to come down to pyramid. So we're coming down to the mat. You can bend through that right knee any amount in order to reach that mat. And once again, if you've got your blocks or books, we can use them here in our pyramid to straighten more through that front leg, but never locking it out, thinking about just keeping a micro bend. And we're high on the ball of that back foot. Right hip crease pulls back, left hip crease pulls forward. And letting go of any tension in the head, neck or shoulders. Breath in, bend through the right knee, coming into our high runner's lunge. And exhale, straightening back through that leg into pyramid. Inhale, runner's lunge. And exhale, back to pyramid. Once more, inhale, runner's lunge. And this time we're going to switch that core on and use the strength of our core to pull ourselves back up into our high crescent lunge. Left glute is engaged. One breath here. And on the exhale, the arms cut through the air. We open up to our warrior two. So left foot has anchored on the mat. There's a roughly heel to heel alignment. And gaze comes down the middle finger. Make sure that you can see the right big toe so that that right knee isn't caving in. And on the inhale, let's fly the warrior. So straightening through that front leg, coming onto the heel of the front foot, arms reach up overhead. And exhale to settle back in to warrior two. Twice more, inhale, flying warrior. And exhale, warrior two. Inhale, flying warrior. And exhale back to warrior two. Keeping the arms out, let's straighten through that front leg. We're going to breathe in, reach forward for length and come into Trikonasana. Right hand comes to the inside of the right shin, using that for a little bit of leverage to open up the chest. Gentle tuck of the tailbone and the belly is drawn in. Once again, you can use your blocks or your books in this position. So if your hands don't reach the ground, like mine don't, you can actually take that block on the inside of the right foot and use that for support on any setting. Let's bend through the front knee now and come back to our warrior two. And we're going to set up for side angle. So right forearm comes to the top of the right thigh, left arm sweeps up and overhead. And we're not dumping weight from this arm into the thigh, the right arm. Rather, it's just gently resting there. One more breath here. And taking the left hand to the sacrum, which is that bony sort of bit on the back of your hip or somewhere around to your hip area. We're going to shorten our stance by bringing our left foot in a step And if you've got your blocks or your books, this is where it's going to come in handy for our half moon. You just take that block in front of you, off towards the right hand side, and drawing the belly in and up, we're going to shift our weight forward into that right foot, and the left foot is going to hover and float off of the mat. Keeping the left toes flexed, and maybe extending that left arm to the ceiling. Belly draws in and up. And if you don't need the brick or you don't have the brick, then of course you can just have your fingertips on the floor. You might like to test your balance by hovering those fingertips, maybe bringing the right hand to a half prayer, and remembering that all of those wobbles are totally fine. Like I just almost fell out then. So keeping laser focus on a point on the ground perhaps, or you can take your gaze to the ceiling if you really want to test your balance. And let's slowly, with control, release back to our warrior two. Whew. And immediately straighten that leg, reverse triangle, taking the weight out of that right leg. Let's windmill our hands down to the mat, and we're going to step the right foot back into our down dog. You can rest here or come with me for a flow. Breath in, ripple forward, high plank. Chaturanga. Up dog or baby cobra. And back to down dog. Breathing in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Maybe resting in down dog for a few more breaths, or you can drop your knees to the mat and take child's pose, or even have a drink if you've got some water handy. Jess has been keeping me very good company, haven't you, after you went for your little swim? Oh, here we go. You're coming for a hello. And that wet little tail. Okay. Back up to down dog if you're not already in down dog. Thanks, Jess. Breath in, bend your knees. Exhale, pull up through the belly and step or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Taking a deep bend in the knees. On the inhale, we're going to slowly ripple up to standing. Arms reach up and overhead. And exhale, hands through heart center, your Anjali Mudra. Plugging those left toes down into the mat. We're going to inhale, draw the right knee up towards the belly. So really engaging that left glute, drawing the lower belly in and up is going to help with your stability here. And also focusing on a point that's not moving in front of you. Let's inhale, draw that right knee up a little bit higher. And slowly extend our arms up and overhead. In slow motion, let's hinge at the hips, and we're going to take the right leg back behind us as we step back into our high crescent lunge. So go as slowly as you can. And once you land, you might need to realign those feet. Switch on that right glute so the back leg is strong, and belly draws in. Breathing in, and exhale, cactusing the arms, maybe taking a gentle back bend. Inhale, arms reach back up. And exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, arms back up. And straightening through the left leg as we hinge at the hips and come down into our pyramid variation. Remembering we've got those blocks or books handy that we can use for our stability here. And if you need to, you can step that back leg in to shorten your stance. My mat has gotten absolutely filthy from this rain that we've been having. A little bit of sprinkling rain on and off. Let's take that left hip back and right hip comes forward. letting go of any tension in the neck and shoulders. On the inhale, bending through that front knee into our runner's lunge. You might need to readjust your hands or bricks. And exhale back to pyramid. Inhale, runner's lunge. And exhale, pyramid. One more. Inhale, runner's lunge. And exhale back to pyramid. I think I've just given you an extra one, but back to our runner's lunge, not to worry. And using the strength of our core, we're going to rise back up into our high crescent lunge. Whew. It's getting a little bit tough on that left glute, isn't it, Jess? Right glute is engaged. And we're going to carve the air as we open up to warrior two. Right foot anchors on the mat. Let's make sure that our heels are roughly in alignment. And you can see that big toe on the left foot. So you're not caving in with the knee to the right. That knee is pushing out to the left. Gaze is down the middle finger. And on the next exhale, arms reach overhead, straightening through the front leg, flying warrior. Exhale to sink back maybe a little deeper. Inhale, flying warrior. And exhale back to warrior two. One more. Inhale to fly. And exhale back to warrior two. Setting up for our side angle. Left forearm comes to the inside, not to the inside, to the left thigh. And we're going to sweep that right arm up and overhead. So this is our extended side angle. And we're not dumping this shoulder down and dumping weight into that thigh. Rather, we're rather light and buoyant, so we could actually lift this arm off of the leg, and we're spiraling that chest up and open to the ceiling. One more breath. And right hand comes to the back of the right hip. We're going to shorten our stance, and maybe taking one of those yoga bricks out in front on the left side. We're going to take our weight into that left foot as we shift forward. Left hand comes to the brick or the ground. Right leg kicks up into our half moon. Right toes are flexing towards the right shin. And taking a micro bend in that left leg can help with your stability. Laser focus on a point that's not moving. And you might unravel that right arm up to the ceiling. Right toes are flexing. And maybe you practice your balance by taking your left fingertips off of the mat or the floor. You can maybe bring it to a half prayer at your chest. Slowly, with as much control as you can, let's come back to our warrior two. And straightening through that front leg, reverse triangle just to take some of that pressure off of the leg. We've done a lot of work. And windmilling our hands down to the mat. Let's step back into our down dog. Oh, my mat really is filthy. I guess this is the joy of practicing outside. And breath in, ripple forward to high plank. Knees on or off the mat, lower, chaturanga. Inhale to up dog. And exhale back to down dog. Breathing in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. In, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Breath in, bend your knees, exhale, pull up through the belly and either step or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins, and exhale to fold. Let's inhale, come all the way up to standing. Arms reach overhead, and exhale, hands through heart center. Immediately we're going to sit back into our chair pose. And it doesn't matter whether your feet are hip distance or touching. We're going to draw the belly in and up. And choosing a point in front of you that's not moving, let's come up onto the tippy toes and then lower the heels. Inhale, up onto the tippy toes. Exhale to drop the heels. Once more, inhale. And this time we're just going to lower our butt all the way down to our heels. And we're going to sit back onto the mat, coming into our Navasana boat pose. So you can take clasp of the back of the thighs, or alternatively hands can be out on either side. So just a short little hold to work through the core, pressing the legs in together. And taking clasp with the back of the thighs if you haven't already. Let's cross those legs and sit down. That was quite a nice hold. So take note of which leg you've got in front in this easy cross, and maybe even just take those legs a little bit further forward. We're just going to breathe in to sit up nice and tall, and exhale, walking ourselves forward, folding down, and then releasing and just curving through that spine. And coming back up, we're just going to take our hands behind us and we're going to switch the cross of our legs. So the opposite foot comes forward, and sitting back up nice and tall. You might need to take that fleshy part away from the sit bones. Inhale for length and exhale to walk forward and come down into the fold. Inhale to come back up to seated, and then taking the soles of the feet to the mat, we're just going to slowly roll back down to the mat, making sure I've got no bull ants underneath me that I'm going to squash, and coming all the way down to the mat. We're going to set up for a round of bridge, so bringing those heels in a little bit and palms placed down on the mat. Breathing in and out. Breath in. Let's roll that tailbone up off of the mat and lift up one vertebrae at a time. Maybe taking an interlace of the hands underneath the back and rolling the shoulders under. If you've got the interlace, we're aiming to keep those hands on the mat. Glutes are active. Two more breaths. And releasing the bind of the hands, slowly rolling one vertebrae at a time back down to the mat. And resting here in stillness. Let's take the feet to the same distance as the mat, and then just dropping the knees over to the right into our supine twist. You might like to take your arms out to a cactus or a T. And maybe taking the gaze over the left shoulder for a bit more stretch, but only if that feels good on your neck. Inhale, legs back through center and dropping them over to the left. Inhale, legs back through center, and just maybe coming back to the center of your mat, we're just going to finish with a gentle inversion. So you can either take happy baby or legs up the wall. I'm going to opt for my legs up the imaginary wall behind me. And you can keep the head and shoulders on the mat, but maybe if you want to get your arms into the motion, we can just bring them up. And depending on what you took, you might like to bring those knees in for a gentle little cuddle, maybe a rock from side to side, before you set up for your Shavasana. So getting any items of clothing that you might like to add on and getting those now. You can finish in Shavasana or you can finish in a seated meditation, whatever you prefer. I'm going to finish up in a seated meditation just because my mat is so filthy now that I think sitting is just going to be a little bit more enjoyable for me. And when you're ready, closing down the eyes. If you're in Shavasana, really starfishing out and taking up as much room as you can, letting the feet drop out to the sides, the palms face up. And if you're in a seat, making sure that it's comfortable, maybe sitting on one of your blocks or your books or a pillow, cross-legged or kneeling. Hands can rest on your thighs wherever they're comfortable. And taking a gentle tuck of the chin if you're sitting, just to elongate through the back of the neck. Wherever you are, coming into stillness. Bringing some awareness back to the body. If you're in Shavasana, then wriggling through the fingers and toes. Maybe massaging your head on the mat by rocking it from side to side. You might like to take a big stretch if you're in Shavasana. And then rolling onto your right side. And slowly pushing yourself up to a comfortable seat, keeping your eyes closed if you can. Taking our hands to heart center, palms to touch. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste. Jess, you're still here. You're such a good girl. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, and I hope you found that enjoyable. Hopefully you liked adding some half moon into your practice, and don't worry about falling out and wobbles. I fall out of things all of the time. It's just important to try. That's the number one thing. If you liked this video, then please think about subscribing to my channel, and feel free to leave me any comments below. You can contact me via the email listed in the About section. Thank you. Bye.